All right, on today's episode, we will be doing the Tall Whites, extraterrestrial species, learning, reacting, and discussion. And with that, let's get into it. All right, let's just get right into this video, sir. Are you ready?
Let's do it. I'm ready.
We're
that
gonna
Tall White's saying I'm ready.
Tall Whites. So I know more
like...
about the Tall Whites than you do, and it's kind of fun for me once that you don't have a world view of this quite yet. A little bit.
Just a tiny, but nothing really. Yeah, nothing.
I know nothing, but I have watched many a video about this and observed.
Okay. This will be
Tall
interesting.
Whites are a purported extraterrestrial species that is said to have interacted with humans on Earth. These aliens are said to be tall, thin, and with white hair and pale skin. They are often described as having a human-like appearance, but with distinctive physical features that set them apart. The first reported encounters with the Tall Whites occurred in the 1950s and 60s, with a number of individuals claiming to have had direct contact with the aliens. The most famous of these encounters was with Charles Hall, a former U.S.
So there is a podcast I watch called American Alchemy. It's one of my favorite ones. It's about this space disclosure, many things, psychology, ufology, all that stuff. Let me get the thing on the screen here. So I do know about his story. He was the one that was visited by a tall white and knocked out. And I've heard him speak on this story on that podcast. Just want to say that because I do know about this story.
Air Force weather observer who claims to have worked with the Tall Whites at the Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada. The Tall Whites aliens are described as being taller than the average human, ranging from 6 to 7 feet in height. They have thin, almost skeletal bodies with long arms and legs. Their skin is said to be pale and almost translucent, and their hair is white and sparse. They have elongated fingers.
The sparse hair is definitely a big indicator, and I'm going to share with you my understanding of this topic in the end. So sparse hair, that will get me. If I ask you, just remind me to talk about the sparse hair.
And toes, and their faces are described as having sharp features and large almond-shaped eyes. The idea of extraterrestrial life and the possibility of contact with advanced alien species continues to fascinate and intrigue people around the world. The existence of the Tall Whites and other purported extraterrestrial species is often used as a point of speculation and debate in discussions about the
I like the other pictures better than that one. That one's the creepiest.
Wait, this one was the creepy one. Yeah, this is the one that scares me.
of our universe and our place within it. In conclusion, the Tall White aliens are a mysterious and controversial subject that has captivated the public imagination for decades. Whether or not the Tall Whites are real, their existence remains a subject of debate and speculation.
All right, so let's just get into this and talk about it. All right, we are talking about the Tall Whites. Put some music on here. Actually, I want this music. So let me tell you what I know about these guys.
Yes.
So I'm going to paint a picture for you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, so this is kind of what I learned. I'm also clicking buttons here, so.
That's cool.
So there's the little grays. You've seen the little grays, right?
They're the ones we think of, right? When you think of the aliens, right?
Yeah.
Is it like the Roswell kind of?
I'm gonna get my prop. Hold on, right? I'll be right in 1 second.
Okay.
All right. So I have one. His name's Bob. This is Bob.
Okay. Yeah. Those are the ones I remember. Unsolved mysteries. I'd have nightmares about them coming into my room and taking me away.
You had nightmares about it?
I used to.
No kidding.
Although
Maybe
I was endlessly fascinated with it. I had nightmares.
You might have been abducted because if you had nightmares about it. Let me just get into it. Okay.
Oh yeah. So this will be good.
These are the Greys. All right. It's almost confirmed unanimously that they're real. And they've been here for a very long time, right? And now you have the disclosure from the U.S. government. I'm sure you've seen some of the footage that they're dropping with the orbs and all that.
Oh yeah.
So what I want to tell you is that I'm starting to believe that we are genetically modified, and that these things that have been in all of the old books, the Bible, all of these old religious kind of stories, all have these things that come from the sky. Angels, right? That the angels could be perhaps the Tall Whites, because it seems like the Tall Whites are the bosses of these guys. These guys seem to be like, we have AI. These seem to be organic AIs. Like they're alive, but they're also infused with some sort of technology. So they can, and let me just tell you the other thing. You see these black eyes? They're contacts. They're like sunglasses for them. That's not their real eyes. Okay? So
interesting. Okay.
This isn't their real eyes. From a lot of the things I've seen.
Their actual eyes are behind the lenses.
They have eyes kind of like we do. They have pupils, and they don't just have black eyes. These are the things that can knock us out. So whenever they interact with a human, they're able to look into us and turn us off. And the technology is in these black eyes.
Oh man.
Yep. So check this out.
Interesting. Yeah.
So I've listened to a lot of stuff on Area 52. Now I'm not 100% saying this is true. I've listened to the stories, and I'm just kind of telling you, what I've built up after hearing so many. So they've been coming down and interacting with our DNA, our blood. They know all about us because potentially they might have helped create us. So they come to the planet. They're in the planet. They're all around it. They're inside of it. So what are the Tall Whites? So they take these guys, come and abduct people, and they use them to create children. Okay? They start to procreate with them. I've heard of quite a few stories about this. So the ones that are more evolved are these guys, except they become older and more human like us. They start to become taller. They have sparse hair, and they're actually in charge. They're leading these guys. They're a whole different force than these guys. These guys are a little bit more very direct, very scary. But the Whites are also scary, but they're more they're a larger kind of thing. They're an energy thing. They're steps above these guys. But perhaps they evolve out of this. This could be base form that's AI organic.
Oh yeah, okay.
And that's kind of the gist of stuff that I've heard. About the Tall Whites.
So wild. There's a whole world of knowledge about this. We'll call it knowledge. It's where do I begin? So yeah, the grays, right? These gray ones, the one you have there. That's what I think of when, and I mean no, but it's disrespect. But when I think of when I'd watch shows, I've seen reruns of the Unsolved Mysteries show, and guy would talk about how these aliens would come, the Greys, I guess. They would come and he would vanish, and then he would describe the spaceship and the probings and all the crazy things that would happen to him. Of course, he comes back, no one believes him. Naturally, right? Come on, man. Your grainy camera and your battery running dead and all that. But no, the guy insists it really happened. Right. Did it happen? Unsolved mysteries. Now, what was interesting in those shows, back in the I guess they're from the 90s. They never really, that I remember anyway, or from what I've seen, mentioned the Tall Whites, which I think is kind of fascinating too.
Right.
But this gentleman here, supposedly,
he's one of many cases that I've heard. Yeah, right. So basically, they didn't go too much into his case. When he worked there, he was he's a smart guy. He was at Fort Nellis, I think it's called, and he was he was out there by the mountains, kind of just in barren land, right? And the one person who was relieving him of his duties, if you go out there, he's they're out there. like the tall
Right.
ones are out there. And he's like, what? I don't know. I don't care. Like, and he's out there in solitude. He's like doing his job, but he would drive out there, or they would drive him. And he was a part of this post that was like well into like nothingness. It's just barren,
Yeah.
you know. And he said he was out there and he interacted with a child, a tall white child. And it just was immediately able to read his thoughts. It was like way more like, it had control of him immediately, the way he felt, how he operated. It could turn them off. So he kind of helped the child in the story. And then he met what he called, I think, the teacher. And he met like the mother and then like the father, but they were like way bigger and like they were mature and they were just so overpowering to him. They could just turn him off like a switch, and then he would wake up. And then they started to communicate with him. And allegedly, these tall whites are a part of our society. They're able to shape shift and change the way we see them. So perhaps they could even be integrated. They perhaps came here looking like this, or they were dying on their planet or something. And they've been here so long, they've been integrating into us by becoming us in a way. And some people could believe that they run governments, that the Epstein stuff has a lot of this behind it, has a lot of that.
Oh, I see. There's
that
all this.
levels of because the guy in that story was talking about how they work with the U.S. government, like they work with them. They've been talking to them. It's shortly after World War II, after the nuclear bombing, the testing. That's when they started appearing again more. And they say that they do straight up interact with governments from around the world, and that's why the Men in Black can show up so quickly, is because they're a part of that system and the part of all the rest of the why it's so confusing. You know, it seems to be it's purposefully done that way. Like most of the time when people are super into aliens, they're like, that guy's crazy, and that's just it deflects everything.
Right, because it does. It sounds. I mean, you don't, but it sounds. Some people sound almost. Just from out here, and me not having really much knowledge on this other than, Area 51 and speculation, right?
Which is Roswell.
Like,
most Americans
the
are
Roswell.
Roswell. That's where it kind of lives in their minds. And like you said, I don't sit here and say this is all true, but I've been studying the phenomenon for quite some time, and there's a lot of this in there. This is the crafts that do the interdimensional travel or supersymmetry, stuff like that. They're able to pass through time. It's not like they're quite in our timeline. They can sort of just move around it as well, and they can move through space. They can go under. Those crafts can move underwater with nothing prevents that speed. It seems like they're almost outside of outside of
like they're kind of
physics, and can come back into physics.
They. I mean, if it's just so interesting because it sounds. It does. I mean, it sounds almost crazy. It sounds, but deep down inside, the kind of Star Trek fan in me says, I want it to be true, and in a way, at least in part, because it's like, it's just so fascinating. But not so much the conspiracies, just that it's true that there's other life out there who are with us and maybe interacting with us already. And maybe we'll all get to interact and it'll become more public in time. I don't know. But I almost hope it does, because it's just, in my mind, in that like science fiction fan of sorts, it just sounds so cool. And, wow, we're going to get to maybe understand more about physics than we do. And
so here
flying vessels that you just described. Yeah.
Right. So you're correct. And, here's the deal. They say that perhaps that you ever hear the religions or things like that said they walked among us at one time. So before the flood, before the flood, it seemed like the whole system got restarted, right? And a lot of people claim that before that flood, that's when they were here with us or controlling us and doing like we worked for them. They had utter control of us, and that's when you see in Egypt a lot of times with the Anunnaki and the all the stuff that came out of there. That's when these beings were walking the planet. They were here, and then there was some sort of beef they had. They fought. There was Enki and Enlil and like all these other guys, and Thoth. Thoth is Enki. Like there's that. It's basically the story of not Poseidon. What's the story of fire? It's when who is that? That's what that story is.
I'm trying to think because I might be confusing.
I have the topic. I do want to bring it up. I think it's Prometheus.
Yeah.
Prometheus.
Okay. That.
Like hand in hand with this type of different alien races and hierarchies and different things like that. Prometheus is like, if anyone wants to dig deeper, that's sort of like the most they say that's the one that is it. Like the fire was given, the technology was given to the people that shouldn't have been given to, and then it was, so on and so forth.
Oh yeah, Prometheus. It's interesting too, because when we I'm sort of making a connection that might not be, but it's interesting how at least the United States names a lot of its spacecrafts now. Like I'm thinking the Apollo, right? The names just escape me. Saturn, even.
Yeah.
They're after the Greek and Roman.
The Greek gods.
Like gods and deities and stuff, and it's kind of neat. Like, I'm waiting for an Athena to come out.
Interesting you said that, because that was when, after the reset, that is when the high knowledge returned. That's when this sort of like ritual golden order thing that now is considered occult, which associates darkness and evil. It was more a time of Socrates and all them other greats, Plato. They were really using all of the things on Earth. They were using ergot, they were tripping, they were spending the day thinking, they were going to dark rooms, they were communicating, and they seem to be ascending to like sort of whatever that level is, which I think is consciousness. I think it's a higher level and a tuning in of certain consciousness. And you could go to the lower ones, but you could also go to the higher ones.
I think it's true in a way. Well, at least we can safely say that a lot of these philosophers who spent their time thinking probably did have experience with things like that we would think of transcendent, and it's just amazing how they had that experience and like a higher level of consciousness. And of course, being philosophers, they're going to think, oh well, this is there's something to this. And so like you have some who I know, like the cynics, were seen as something like crazy. They're outside society, and they're thinking the classical cynics in ancient Greece. But they were the movement that were kind of crazy, and they're like just living on the streets, but they somehow managed. And it's like, but they questioned everything about society. Well, I wonder why. Maybe they had an experience that was, beyond what most of us have. So it's kind of interesting.
A lot of it started there. A lot of it started in Greek and Roman. It truly did. There was a return to a higher sort of thinking. As in America, it's like super capitalist. We're inundated with microwave wires and Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Like that stuff's all in the air around us.
Yeah, and, it's all in the air. And
a lot of these guys back in the day, they did the hard, boring work. They did the. It wasn't maybe always boring, but it was this pursuit that was done with others. You were in that guild or that group, and that must have been pretty cool. I'm sure it was weird at times when they were doing some of their ceremonies. They all do weird stuff, the rituals and things like that. But I do think. I'll just say I've seen enough information or things that I do think these guys are here, and they have been here, and I do think there is a lot going on inside our Earth, inside our volcanoes. I think the government has technology. They back engineered a lot of this stuff that was here before, and I think disclosure is coming. I think it's real, and I think it's so crazy to think, because I grew up like you, like a sci-fi kid, right? So it's like almost they were prepping us the whole time to do this. So Star Wars and Star Trek. And there was a time when people thought the world was flat. Like people would go in boats or ships, and they would just go exploring, and they would fall off. So I would say this is just as world shattering that perhaps 100, 200 years from now, people will look back and go, they didn't, they weren't in communication. It wasn't well known that they're here. Somehow it was shrouded.
If they are out there, my hope is, and they think I can handle it, I'm a being of relative peace. I'd like to think, please make contact with me.
Well, I'll tell you what.
I'm curious.
I've watched a lot of stuff about abductions and all that. They are kind of like, it don't feel good. You're not hanging out with them and singing songs. Like they basically kidnap you, and they do what they want with you, and they turn you off, and they have utter control over you.
Yeah,
You're
I'd
not in
rather it
control.
more like what they showed on the like when Zefram Cochrane and the warp drive was discovered that the Vulcans come down and they come out of their ship, and I'd rather that kind of encounter than an
Yeah.
abduction to just in case they're listening to me.
It
I'd prefer not the abduction and
it would
the
be
brain
really
shutdown or anything.
really this is the thing, that disclosure, they're all like, I don't know if they're ready, because if it is true, then it challenges religion, because religion has so many different ways of looking at things already. And then you would see more of a streamlined reality, and it would start to break some religion. So that's one reason why disclosure is like kind of being slowly done. You don't want to just break religion, because the people will go crazy. They'll start burning things. Like, Muslims, for instance, could pop off. Christians could pop off. Like, tell them they're wrong, or you got it wrong. It's not going to go well. And I think that really is a problem, and it could actually be one of the reasons why it wasn't unanimously spread even 40 years ago.
You bring up a good point, because a lot of people religion's a great example. Religion's a kind of thing. A lot of people, that's their identity, the core of and you break that somehow with some new knowledge, and we've seen it even in past history.
It isn't even
people start to lose it.
It isn't even one group of living people of a culture. It's like their entire culture that could be challenged.
It's like, cultures. It's
the
human-wide almost. I mean,
the environment of the culture, like all this, like Japan and the Shinto stuff. That's integrated into their whole system, which I think is a great system. But if something was like this is the way it is, and we can't go back, and like we would be like, well, this doesn't work anymore. This isn't the way it is anymore.
Like suddenly things will. Yeah, I would hope that maybe, it sounds optimistic. We can imagine the pessimistic side of things. But my hope is that maybe the future will look more like the Star Trek's Federation than it will, say,
I don't know
like some horror show like Cardassia or something,
So they have a lot more to these tall whites. I know you like Star Trek. They come from a certain star system. They have all this stuff already figured out and mapped out. There's they're from, God, why can't I say it right now? But they're from a specific region of stars. It's close to us, but I can't come up with it. I'm not going to pretend like I can. But there's a whole backstory where the whites come from, and then you got the Draconians, which are the reptiles who are here. So they already have guilds and factions. Like somebody already mapped that whole thing out. I don't know if it's true, but it's there.
See, it's interesting. Like you get the reptiles, you have almost the tall whites, which I guess are closer to mammals in a way. It almost sounds like me and the Star Trek references. It almost sounds like the Zindi. They had like an insect and a mammalian race and like an aquatic race and all these different
whites from?
Yeah.
So here we go. Where's the tall whites from? Okay. So, Palladian. They're the Palladians.
Okay.
That's what they are. That's the word I was struggling to get.
So they're from there. Okay.
So let's see. They're 444 light years from Earth. Are they really? Because I see that number all the time. I see so many repeating numbers.
That's funny.
Oh my God. Like today there was 2. The other day there was, it happens all the time. It's not just the basic ones either anymore. Anyway, that's funny. Maybe they're talking to me. Maybe me and the tall whites of
maybe right.
Maybe
that's a kind of communication I'd be down with, but maybe a little more like, hey, we are with you. Don't panic. Don't go crazy telling everyone about us, but just know that we're here, comrade.
So
we're on your side.
I'm gonna read a little bit here about what they are. Okay, so tall whites are most commonly said to originate from the Pleiades star cluster. Their thought through their origin story varies depending on specific UFO narrative. All right. So that was the guy we heard about. Within UFO lore, regardless of their cosmic origin, the tall whites are said to maintain semi-permanent underground bases on Earth. The most famous alleged location is inside the remote desert ranges of Indian Springs and Area 51 in Nevada, where they allegedly established a technological exchange treaty with the United States military. Okay,
there we go.
One of them.
That explains no one's getting in or out. Speaking of Area 51, I have a friend who, I won't go into too much detail because I don't know, but I have a friend who actually said he was on a road trip. He had to go to the bathroom real bad. So he pulls off at this exit. He stopped. And the guy says, "You have to turn around now." And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I really just have to go to the bathroom." They kind of, supposedly I think they arrested him.
Wow.
And he thinks, I mean, he's not sure of this, but I think he thinks that it could have been in an area he really shouldn't have, gone, or at the perimeter of an area that any further and he would have gotten in even more trouble.
Wow.
But he managed to, they said, as long as you turn around, just go back, you're good. Bathroom or no bathroom, So he turned around and went back. He eventually found a proper bathroom at a gas station or something. But yeah, it just makes you wonder, like, there are areas, this was out around, that part of the country.
Yeah, it's serious when, like, they're just like, you gotta go. You're just like, what? Like,
yeah,
leave
like
now.
these unmarked, like these, it's not like they're wearing normal police uniforms or FBI or anything like that. It was just this random, but they looked like they were pretty well armed and ready to rock if, you don't want to mess with these guys. So yeah, if anyone's driving around and you pull up at the wrong exit.
That's another thing you mentioned that I do realize now, that most things are forbidden. Most things you're not allowed to do.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go after you leave your home, you're trespassing. Almost everywhere. Publicly accessible streets, yeah. But if you just hang out in the streets, then I don't know. Like, you can't go in anywhere without permission. It just seems like, and what's crazy? You can't even stay in a park at night. Like, you're not supposed to be in any parks past a certain time, or they'll arrest you, especially in the suburbs, not the city. But if you're in some random suburban park and you're like there at 1 a.m, like, the cop will come up to you and arrest you or tell you to leave or question you. So
it's true.
Most things.
I've had friends like that too in Harrisburg. They were stopped and questioned in a park. They're just sitting there at night talking to each other, and all of a sudden, police, "What are you two doing here?
Yeah.
What are you guys, up to?" It's like,
so it's like
literally just talking.
So the level that I'm already get pushed out of everything, and then you got like the federal stuff, like, and then the military bases, like, they are trained to shoot on sight. So I believe it's real easy. Say that UFOs are real. I think with the way the governments are, it's real easy to have us not see what we're not supposed to see it. They're going to make sure we're not going to see it. And the only time that they have a hard time with that is when it's in the sky, because it's really hard to police the sky. But
kind of hard to,
when you're talking about the land and bases, like, good luck. Go up to Fort Dix or something and be like, "Hi, I just want to look around." You'll be arrested. You'll be fined. You'll be killed. You'll be shot. And that's just probably a couple levels higher than Fed, right? Like, or whatever, state police or whatever. Yeah, there's higher ones. When those government organizations that you've never heard of show up and they dismiss the FBI, you're like, whoa, who are we? Like, they have impunity. You can't win. Like, you can't. It's over. Like, they can make you disappear.
That's why it's in a small way, and it's I'm going off on a bit of a tangent, but people say, "Oh, I'm going to arm some people, I'm going to arm myself to the teeth because I don't want the government suppressing me," and I get it. I can understand. Yeah, you don't want to be controlled, but then I wonder, if the United States Army really came in to your house, you're not gonna laugh. No offense, but you can show it. It's not gonna happen. The U.S. is like any government, but the most powerful army on earth today. They're not gonna let you.
So I'll tell you this one other thing I learned about the phenomenon that's kind of interesting. We might cover it. It's called Skinwalker Ranch. Skinwalker Ranch is where I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's very interesting. Maybe we'll do it soon. So there's a whole lot of stuff that goes on there that's like otherworldly for a very, very long time. And you were saying, like, when you want to fight, you arm yourself to the teeth and all that.
Yeah, people think they're ready to go.
The natives don't even want to be a part of it. There's so many shapeshifters and there's so much activity. So here, check me out. So the guy who owns it, right? He has security. And so this is how crazy it can be. It's all mental. So the security guys come there, and most military guys, they have swagger, they stand, they're intimidating, right? They have this. Check this out.
They're designed,
Check this. That's the way they're built, right? They have body language, command, power. So when they're on Skinwalker Ranch, anyone who has that type of energy about them gets sick. And anyone who's got a chip on their shoulder, that environment, whatever in the air, whatever going on, those people actually knock out end up in a hospital or get really sick because they have this aggressive energy that they're putting out, and the environment alone takes them out. It doesn't matter how many guns they have. They can't even be in the presence of this energy because they have that chip on their shoulder. And people who come there as scientists and stuff like that, they don't get sick like that. But anyone who comes in there with the guns and is a badass, the vibe of the place makes them sick and they leave.
That I look forward to talking more about. That sounds really interesting.
It is on the History Channel if you ever want to watch it. It's in like its 15th season or some shit.
Oh,
very interesting. Yeah. Skinwalker Ranch
really
is cool.
Yeah.
So
I never heard of it, so this is cool.
Yeah, but isn't that crazy how any alpha male aggressive energy? And they said it happens so many times that when people come onto the land and try to do work there, if anybody comes with like this, no nonsense Marine type attitude, I'll kill, like I'm, a dominant force. They get sick.
They're kind of dominant. They're trying to be dominating.
They leave. They leave. They don't stay. They're like willed to leave, pushed to leave. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
So think about that. What kind? Maybe there's more we could talk about in that episode, but think about that. If there is some type of being there, because they deal with consciousness, the fact that they can emit that type of vibe that would just repel that type of behavior.
I know, right?
That's crazy.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
That's some wild stuff. That itself sounds science fiction. But it's funny, well, a lot of science fiction could just be, or even stuff we just don't understand yet.
Most science fiction is like a primer for us because it's coming. Like when I used to watch The Next Generation, they had a little iPad. They had one.
That's true. That is true. They had little iPads, computers that could talk and respond to their command.
Yeah.
We are. It is amazing. We are getting there.
We are
moving
getting
in that direction. Yeah.
There will be flying cars. They just have to be automated. We can't drive them.
No, we can't. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, we can't have flawed humans driving these things.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I thank you for I don't sit here and believe all this. I don't get up and I'm like, but I do really, I'm interested in the disclosure information. I do like a lot of these podcasts. They present really interesting stories that deal with physics, science, you name it. Like every type of thing seems to go right towards its religion. Everything kind of funnels in this direction. Even the advanced mathematics that we're doing now, the Hadron Collider with the atoms, the way they're making little black holes. It all sort of ends. It goes in that place, that direction.
Yeah.
Which is the divine, which is the stuff that's so below us. Even like the way our eyes see light, the range of light we see, I think
it's quite limited, right?
I think that's sort of where that's what it is. Like this, like we don't have the bandwidth for it, not like we are currently in our bodies, but through certain things, psychedelics or maybe meditation, you do align. You do.
Yeah, it's true. It's like a prior episode we did where I think, was it a prior episode we did or maybe a video I saw? It would be very hard for a 3-dimensional being, which is what we are, to imagine being a 4-dimensional being.
Sure.
We could imagine being a 2D or even a 1D, but 4 dimensions, it's kind of hard to wrap our minds around.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So maybe, we're just not there yet, or we haven't evolved, or we just don't understand a lot. Yeah. So who knows?
Very cool.
I like playing these ideas too. It's fun to.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll do Skinwalker Ranch in the future. I do have the thumbnail and it's finished, so that is definitely a great step in the right direction. Awesome. And with that, we are out.